Hi guys, I hope all of you are doing well. So I welcome you all to yet another video in this AWS Data Engineering Certification course, and in this particular video we are going to see how we will be able to launch the full configuration mode of the Microsoft SQL Server. So in the previous video we already talked about how we will be able to launch the full configuration mode of the MariaDB database instance. So in our previous videos, we have already seen that how we can launch the RDS database instance, but there we were using the easy create mode or the easy launch mode, in which we were having some kind of limited configuration options that we were having. In the full configuration mode, we will have a lot more kind of configurations that we can do from our side, which were in easy create mode were getting handled automatically by the AWS. I can say AWS default configuration. So with that said, let's get started with this video and let's get straight into the system. So this will be the kind of dashboard that you will be logged in when you will be first uh, when you will be signing in into the AWS console. Right after signing into your AWS console, if you are following this particular whole video, whole playlist, for sure you will be seeing this Aurora and RDS service in your recently visited, because we have already talked about Aurora and RDS a lot more information in this particular playlist already, right? Else what you can do is, if you are not getting this RDS and Aurora option in your recently visited, you can just search for RDS in the top search bar, and the first service that you will see will be Aurora and RDS. That is the managed relational database service that we are having, and you can click on to this particular service and you will be redirected to this particular dashboard of now RDS. Now this particular dashboard belongs to the RDS, right? We will have all the informations with respect to our RDS instances that we have created. So you can see currently, so we have already read about this particular fact that we can only have a maximum of 40 RDS instances in one single ID, right? Or I would say for one single user, right? If we want more than 40, so AWS has some kind of form that is there, right? We have to fill that particular form. And if they feel like that, okay, there is I would say a requirement that this particular limit has to be increased, so they will be increasing the limit. Or you can also see right here that if you want to increase the database limit, you can fill up this particular form. Okay, you can create a case, right? And with the help of this particular case, you can provide them the additional informations and they will review your request, and if they feel like, so they will be increasing the limit of this 40. But unless you are not, I would say, a multi-billion dollar organization, I guess 40 database instances is all you need to manage any kind of infrastructure and any scale of the infrastructure that we will require. Okay, so here you can see all the informations right here. So I can just click on dashboard. How we will be launching the full mode configuration will be, I can click on this database. Okay, so currently we don't have any kind of running database, right? So I will click on this create database button. Okay, and by default earlier we were going ahead with the easy create mode, right? Where we were having our limited configuration options. Now we will go ahead with the full configuration mode. And this time we are going to launch the Microsoft SQL Server, right? Now you will be able to see multiple more options. So you will be able to see the data management type, right? So either I can go ahead with the Amazon RDS. So RDS fully manages your database, including automatic patching. Choosing this option if you don't need the customized environment. If you need some kind of custom environment, right, you can choose the RDS custom. So here RDS manages your database and gives you the privilege access with the OS. Use this option if you want to customize the database, OS and the infrastructure, right? So here a lot more level of customization can happen, right? So ideally Microsoft SQL Server runs on the Windows system. Okay, it can for sure run on other operating systems like Linux and Mac also, right? But ideally, right, in most of the cases, or Microsoft server SQL server wants that the base operating system should be Windows, and there is, I don't think there is any kind of guessing around it, right? Because Microsoft is the organization uh, which owns Windows also, right? Windows operating system, and the same organization which is Microsoft is the developer of the SQL server or Microsoft SQL server database also, right? So for sure they will require that the whole infrastructure is of their own organization. Okay. So here I will go ahead with Amazon RDS itself. Okay, then here you will be able to see multiple editions. So SQL Server Express Edition, SQL Server Web Edition, SQL Server Standard Edition, Enterprise Edition, and SQL Server Developer Edition. So according to the requirement, you will be able to see these editions. So here, if you are going ahead with the Server Express Edition, so it is affordable database management system that supports database sizes up to 10 GB. Okay. Then if you are going ahead with the Server Web Edition, so in accordance with the Microsoft licensing policies, it can only be used to support public and internet accessible web pages, websites, web application, and web services. Okay. If you are going ahead with the Standard Edition, so core data management and business intelligence capabilities for mission critical applications and mixed workloads. If you are going ahead with the Enterprise Edition, so we will have comprehensive high-end capabilities for mission critical applications with demanding database workload and business intelligence requirement. And then there is the Developer Edition, which is a new edition that has been added. So it includes all functionality of the Enterprise Edition for use as development and test environment. Okay, so we will go ahead with the Enterprise Edition. Now you can see in Enterprise Edition there are multiple again versions of the engines that are available. So SQL Server 2017 and version this is available. Then again there are a kind of minor version changes that are available with respect to it. Then there is SQL Server 2019. So this is the major version change, right? So it is 14.0.0 something, and here you can see now 15.0 some changes are here, right? Then you can see in SQL Server 2022, again a major change has been made, that is from 15.00, it has been changed to 16.00. Okay, so let's use this latest version itself, that is 16.00, right, 0.4225.2 version 1. Okay, here we will be able to select which kind of template do we want. So we want the production template or we want the development and test template. So I can go ahead with the production template itself. Okay, here I can give any kind of database identifier. So I can give a database as, let's say, MsSQL. Okay, that is Microsoft SQL database. So database hyphen MsSQL. Okay, then I can select the credential settings, means what kind of username or the master username do I want to give to the database instance. So admin is the by default master username that is there. Else, if I want to change this particular master name, I can also change it to, let's suppose, Vishal. Okay. Then talking about the credentials management, right? So this master username will be followed with a password that we will have to enter, right? When we will try to connect to the database instance. Okay. So here you can see first one is the managed AWS secret manager service, which is the most secure, and obviously this secret manager service again belongs to AWS themselves. So for sure they will want that we should be in the AWS ecosystem itself, right? So RDS generates a password for you and manages it throughout the life cycle using the AWS secrets manager. Or we can also have our own self-managed password. So we will create our own password or have RDS to create a password that you manage. Okay, so I will go ahead with the self-managed password and I will click on this auto generate password. So it will automatically generate a password for me, a secure password, and we will be able to see this particular password, right, in the view credential details when when the database will be created. Okay, when it will be initialized, then we will be able to see the password there, right? Then we have our instance configuration, right? So this is where we will be able to configure our instance, or maybe the database instance size, which kind of database instance class do we require, and all those stuffs, right? So again, we have three types of instance classes that we have. So the first one is the standard class, which includes the M classes, right? So M is again a kind of series, okay, which signifies the standard classes, okay. So if you will look at the type of the database type or the instance sizes, different options that are available. So here you can see from db.m5xl, right, that will have 4 GB of virtual cores, 16 GB of RAM. The elastic block storage bandwidth will be 4750 Mbps, and the network bandwidth will be up to 10 Gbps. Then if you want to go ahead with any kind of larger instance size, so you can go ahead with dbm5 2xl, where you will have 8 virtual cores of CPU, 32 GB of RAM, elastic block storage bandwidth will be 4750 Mbps itself, and the network bandwidth will be up to 10 Gbps, right? Again, if you want larger kind of instances, so this is, you can see, right? So this is M5. So M5 is the generation, okay? M5 is the generation of the instance, and XL is the size of the instance. So if you will scroll down, you will see the newer generations also. So there is this M5i generation, M7i generation, right? And again, the size of this particular instance, or M7i generation instance, is XL. So here you will get 4 virtual core CPUs, 16 GB of RAM, 10,000 Mbps of elastic block storage bandwidth, and up to 12.5 Gbps of network, right? If you will scroll down again, right, you will be able to see M6i generation also, where you will be able to see the largest instance that is available, right, that is 32XL. So I believe this is the largest that is available, right? Yeah, so 32XL is the largest instance that is available for the M class, right? This for standard class, this is the largest instance size that is available. So it will have 128 cores of CPU, 512 GB of RAM, okay, 40,000 Mbps of elastic block storage, and 50 GB of network bandwidth, 50 Gbps of network bandwidth, okay. So this is about the M class. If you want to go ahead with the memory optimized classes, right, so again you will have multiple options. So the smallest option is the R5 generation XL size, that is, it will have 4 cores of CPUs and 32 GB of RAM. Again, the elastic block storage bandwidth is 4750 Mbps, and network bandwidth is up to 10 Gbps, okay. So there is this R5 generation, then there is R5B generation that is there, okay. Then there is R5D generation that is there. Then there is R7I generation, okay, R6I generation. Then there is this X2 generation that is there, and ZI generation is also there, okay. That is the 12XL size. If I talk about the largest instance that is we are having, so this is 24XL, where we are having we are also having 32XL, right, where we are having 128 cores of CPUs and 4096 gigabytes of RAM, okay. The EBS bandwidth is 80,000 Mbps. The internal instance storage will be, the instance storage will be 3.7 TB, and that will be NVMe SSD storage, and the network bandwidth is 100 Gbps, okay. So this is 32XL, and I believe this is the largest one, okay. Even 32XL is there for this also, right? So here 100, okay, here we are having 4000 GB, right? Here we are having, so you can see, right? So this is the newest generation, and for the newest generation, even the RAM size is very, very huge, right? Here you can see, even for the 32XL in the R6, we are having 128 core CPUs and 1024 GB of RAM, right? So Yeah, this is the largest instance that we have for this series. Again, burstable classes are the smaller classes. Okay, so here you will be able to see only two options we are having. So it is DB-T3 where we are having 4 core CPU and 16 GB of RAM, and T3 2XL where we are having 8 cores of CPU and 32 GB of RAM. Okay, so let's go ahead with the memory optimized classes and let's take a smaller instance, right, of this particular size, let's suppose. Okay, now if you want to do some kind of optimized CPU and all those stuff, so we will have to go ahead with the licensing and all those things. Okay, now comes the storage part of it. So again, we have already read this part that we have different type of storage options that we can attach with the RDS instance. So we have the magnetic storage, right? We have the standard SSD storage, and we have the provisioned IOPS SSD storage options available for us. And similar kind of options you will be able to see here, right? So we have the general purpose or the standard SSD option that is available. So in general purpose also we have two options available. So first one is the general purpose 2. So here the baseline performance determined by volume size. Okay, and the general purpose storage SSD, that is GP3 option, is available where performance scales independently from the storage. Then we have the provisioned IOPS SSD. So here flexibility in provisioning input output operations, and we have provisioned IOPS SSD where we have low latency, high durability, and input output intensive storage. And we have magnetic. So magnetic storage type is not recommended by AWS, so we will not go ahead with the magnetic type storage. We will go ahead with the provisioned IOPS SSD itself. Okay, then here how much memory or how much volume do I want to attach with my database instance. Okay, so we can attach from 20 GB, a minimum of 20 GB till 65,536 GB of storage. Okay, so this is currently 20 GB. Let's suppose if I want it to be, let's say, right, if I want to make it, let's say 20 TB. So I will have to mention it here in a form of GBs. Okay, I will have to mention it in a form of GBs here. Okay, so now this is 20 TB or 20,000 GB, right? Accordingly, you can also see here in the I button that please note that for SQL Server, when the IOPS volume exceeds 16 TB, you cannot change it to other volume types, right? So we have to make sure if this is more than 16 TB, so we only have the storage type option of IO2 only. Okay. Then there is an option called as provisioned IOPS. So provisioned IOPS means how many concurrent connections, right? Or not, I would say concurrent connections. How many read and write operations can be performed on my database instance in 1 single second. Okay. So here the IOPS value can differ from 1000 till 2,56,000. Okay, so here if I make it 2,56,000, okay, it will work fine for this particular storage that I have given. But if I reduce this particular storage, right, you will see that we have an error. Okay, why? Because 20 GB of the storage will not be able to sustain 2,56,000 IOPS. Means if I'm allowing 2,56,000 IOPS, it means I'm allowing 2,56,000 read and write operations can be done in 1 single second on my database instance. And to do that, I have to increase the storage of my RDS. Okay, so I will have to increase the storage. If I want to keep, let's suppose, storage as 20 GB, in that particular case, I will have to reduce the IOPS value. So I can reduce the IOPS value till, let's suppose, 2,560, and now it will work perfectly fine. Okay. So let's suppose if I want to keep it this. Okay, so you can see again we have got the error, right? So I can increase my storage value also. Now I can also do the storage auto scaling. Okay, so storage auto scaling will do what? If it increase the threshold, which is usually 75%. Okay, if you will click on this particular info button, right? So here you will be able to see, right, how you can scale and all those things, right? So if the total storage exceeds more than 75%, it will do what? It will try to increase my storage size. Okay, it will try to increase my storage size. So whatever value I have put here, so let's say currently my storage is 20 TB. So it will increase it to, let's suppose, 30 TB. Okay, something like this. Okay, so if it becomes 75% of 20 TB, that is, if I calculate it correctly, so it is 15 TB, right? So if my database has already stored 50 TB of information into it, so it will automatically scale my database size till 30 TB. Okay, so that we don't have to manually do it, right? Again, if any kind of additional storage volume I have to attach, so I can attach up to 3 more storage volumes. I will have to click here, right? If I want to give any kind of name, right, I can give it the name. What kind of storage type do I want? I can select those things. How much memory do I want to allocate, right? And what is the input output operation size we want to have? I can attach it something like this. Okay, so let's suppose I want to attach this storage, something like this. Okay, now the multi availability zone. Okay, so mirroring and always on, so I will go ahead with the multi availability zone deployment itself. Okay, then connectivity wise, so currently I don't want it to be connected to any kind of EC2 instance, so I will keep this particular option as a default, that is, don't connect to the EC2 compute resource. Let's keep it to IPv4. VPC wise, so let Amazon decide the VPC itself. Subnet, let AWS decide the subnet itself. And now here I will be giving this public IP address as yes. Okay, let's suppose I have now I want my IP address, or sorry, my RDS instance to be publicly accessible. Means anyone who is having the endpoint, so you can read right here that RDS assigns a public IP address to the database. Okay, the Amazon EC2 instance and the other resources outside the VPC can connect to your database. Resources inside the VPC can also connect to the database. Choose one or more VPC security groups which specify which resources can connect to the database. Okay. If I'm selecting public access as no, so RDS does not assign a public IP address to the database. Only the Amazon EC2 instances and other resources inside the VPC can connect to your database. Choose one or more VPC security groups that specify which resources can connect to the database. Okay, so if I am selecting public accessibility as no, so what it will do is it will not assign any kind of public IP address to the database. So what will this mean? That if I have to create or if I have to launch any other service, so I will have to launch that particular service inside this VPC itself. That is the VPC that is ending with AAA 8B. Okay, I will have to launch it in this VPC itself. Then only it will be able to communicate with my RDS instance. If I'm doing publicly accessible as no, if I'm doing publicly accessible as yes, so in that particular case, even though, let's suppose I want to connect my database instance or my RDS instance to a Lambda function. Okay, so if the option is selected here is as no, so I will have to launch my Lambda function in the same VPC, that is this AAA 8B VPC only. Okay, then only I will be able to access this RDS instance. If I am doing here as yes, so even though my Lambda function is in any other VPC, then also it will be able to trigger my RDS in that particular case. So I'm keeping currently for this particular video this publicly accessible as yes. Okay. Firewall setting, let's keep it as a default, right? And let AWS manage these things. Now for the RDS proxy, so the RDS proxy is fully managed, highly available database based proxy that improves the application scalability, resilience, and security. So I will try to create an RDS proxy here, right? So proxy is nothing but a kind of machine that is in front of the other machine, right? Which acts as like which will act as a mirror, or I can say which will act as a gate for the main resource. Okay, so people will not be able to understand that, okay, what exactly the IP address of my main RDS instance is. Okay, then if any kind of additional configuration, if you want to change the by default database port and all those things, you can click here. Okay, now Microsoft SQL Server Windows authentication. So choose a directory in which you want to allow authorized domain users to uh, Microsoft sorry to authenticate with the SQL Server instance using the Windows authentication. So you can enable this thing also, right? Or else you can disable it also. Currently it's of no use to us. Then talking about the monitoring part. Okay, so we have two monitoring options that are available. So first one is the advanced monitoring. Here it will retain 15 months of performance history of our database instance. Fleet level monitoring will be there, and integration with the CloudWatch application signals will also be there. If you are going ahead with the standard insights, so it will retain only the 7 days of performance history. And if you want to retain more than that, so we will have to pay for it. Okay, so let's go ahead with the advanced insight itself, right? Then talking about the monitoring settings, right? So enable monitoring, enable enhanced monitoring. So it will enabling enhanced monitoring matrices are helpful when you want to see how different processes of the threads use the CPU. OS matrix granularity, so we'll keep it as 60 seconds. Okay, role we will keep it as a default. Export log, so we will try to export the agent and the error logs both. Additional configuration wise, so this is the default parameter group that we have, options group that we have. Time zone, if you want to select, so we can have, let's suppose as our Indian time zone. So do we have it? Yeah, so Indian standard time, right? So I can select the Indian standard time itself. Backup wise, right? So enable automated backups, so it will create a point in time snapshot of your database. Okay, and how much time the backup should be retained, so it will by default is 7. I can keep it from 0 to 35 days. Okay, so let's suppose if I want to keep it for 1 month, so I will keep it as 30 days. Now if you want to create any kind of backup window, so you can create a window something like this. So you can choose a window, and let's suppose if I want my backup to be done at 2 a.m. UTC, right? So I can choose that particular window, and here the duration is from 0.5 hours to 23.5 hours, right? So obviously 0.5 hours will be more than enough, so I can choose the option as 0.5. Okay, then backup tags and all those stuffs will be here. Okay, enable replication with another AWS region. So if you want to do the region level replication, we can also do that, right? So currently I am launching my instance in North Virginia. If I want to create the replica in Mumbai region, so I can select that particular thing also. Retention period, let's suppose I can keep it for 30 days. Okay, copy tags with the replicated data automatically. Okay, enter the URN key, so let's suppose it can keep the by default AWS RDS key. Okay, and enable minor version upgrade. Okay, if you want to choose any kind of maintenance window, you can choose that particular maintenance window also. Okay, and here you can see that the start time, right? If I'm choosing it with respect to the backup window, right? So you can see the maintenance window and the backup window of the database instance cannot overlap. So I will have to choose any other window. So I can choose it as, let's suppose 2:30. Okay, now it will be doing the maintenance period, or the maintenance window will be 2:30 a.m. UTC. Okay, now you can clearly see here the estimated monthly cost and all those stuff. So for database instance, this will be the estimated monthly cost. For storage, this will be the estimated monthly cost, and for provisioned IOPS, this will be the monthly estimated cost, and the total cost will be this much. Okay, so now you can see you are responsible for ensuring that you have all the necessary rights for the third-party products or services that you use with the AWS. Okay, so this is it. These are the options, right, that we have for our full configuration mode. right? For the easy create mode, we don't have these many options for us, right? So I will just scroll down here and I will click on create database, and it will start launching my database instance, right, with all the configurations that we have set up. And then we will try to understand about what difference is there when we are launching it with the full configuration mode. Okay, so you can see here the it might take up to 20 minutes to create and become available, right? So we will have to wait at least for 20 minutes. So what you can do is you can skip to the time, right, where I've again started discussing about the database instance. So let's wait for the instance to get created. So yeah, here in the banner we can see, right, that the RDS proxy is successfully created, and you will be able to see all the details currently, right? So let first of all the database instance status be in the available mode, and then we will try to talk about it moving forward. Okay, so now we can see that even the database has been created, right? And now it's in the configuration mode. So it will take some time to configure, and then our database instance will be available to use. Guys, so I'll be back in just a minute, right? So you can just skip to the time where the status has been changed to available. Okay. So status is still in the modifying stage. Okay, so now we can see that our database instance is now in the available mode, right? Now there are a few things that we have to do, right? Firstly, we have to click on this view connection details, right? And we will have to copy this particular master password, right? Because once if we lose this particular master password, in that case we will have to restore, or I would say reset this particular password. So I can copy this particular master password and maybe I can keep it saved somewhere. Let's suppose currently, because for sure I will be deleting this particular instance right after this particular video, so I'll be deleting it. So I can keep the master password here, else you should keep this particular master password somewhere safe. Okay, now you can click on this particular link where it will let you know that how you will be able to connect to the database instance. Okay, so here if you scroll down, so here you will see that for SQL server how you will be able to connect. So you can see before you connect to the database instance, make sure your server is status is available. So now we can see after the database instance has launched, right, my server status is now in the available mode. Okay, you can check the details of the instance in the AWS management console by using the describe database instance CLI command, right? Make sure that is accessible to your source depending on your scenario, and may not be needed to be publicly accessible. For more information, you can go on to this particular Amazon VPC and the RDS link. Okay, then make sure the inbound rule of the VPC, okay, security group allows accesses to your database instance. For more information, you can go on to this particular link. Then how you will be able to find the endpoint and the port number of the database instance. Okay, so for finding the port number, we have to go to onto this particular link, right? So let me show you how we'll be able to do it. So I just have to select this particular database and I can click on it. Okay, and if I close these banners, okay, so here you will be able to see all the details of the all the details, right, for how I will be able to do the connection. So here you can see the programming language. So Microsoft SQL CMD for Mac OS, for Linux, for Windows, maybe to connect with Python, right? So I have to use this particular code. Okay, if I use, let's suppose, Node.js to connect, so this is the code that I have to use for Node.js. Let's suppose if I want to connect it using the SQL CMD CLI for Windows, so this is the code that I have to use. Okay, if I want to connect using endpoint, so I can use this particular thing to create with the endpoint. So this is my master username, this is my port number, this is the endpoint. Okay, this is the listener's endpoint that I will be having, the port number, networking, security, and all the details are given right here. If I want to set up any kind of EC2 connection, right, I can just click on this, and if I have any running EC2 instances, I will have that particular list and I can directly connect to it, or I can also create an EC2 instance and then I can connect that particular instance to the RDS instance, right? And also same goes with the Lambda function. If I want to create it or connect it to the Lambda, so I can either choose some kind of existing Lambda function, or I can also create a new Lambda function and I can directly connect and set up the connection, right, to the Lambda function also of my RDS instance. Okay, then talking about the monitoring part, right? So here you will see there are 86 matrices that are being captured by the CloudWatch. Okay, so there will be a number of matrices that you will be able to see. So we are having active transactions count, right, batch request, buffer cache, hit ratio, right? Then you can see burst balance, CPU utilization, idle, CPU utilization, kernel, CPU utilization, user, and whatnot, right? Deadlocks, if there are any deadlocks present, right? Then disk KB write rate and all these stuffs are also given here. Okay, you can see every single detail that you require. Okay, disk space utilization, right? And all the details you will be able to see right here. Okay, so this is where you will get all your matrices, the advanced analytics basically that we have subscribed. Okay, then events and logs, so you will be able to see all the alarms if you have set any, all the recent events that has happened, all the error logs and whatnot will be given here. Configuration wise, so all the configurations that we have selected will be here itself. Okay, right from the database instance id, engine version, license model, right, collation, option groups, resource ARN, resource ID created, when it was created, what kind of instance class are we using, how many cores of CPU, what is the RAM it is having, master username, password we will not be able to see right here because password will only be displayed once. Okay. Then IAM DB authentication, multi availability zone, right? Secondary zone, what it is, encryption, storage, provision storage, okay, auto scaling, maximum storage threshold, monitoring wise, all the details you will be able to see here. Okay, even the additional storage volume is right here. Okay, maintenance and backups. Okay, all the details you will be able to see about the maintenance and backups that we had enabled, enabled while configuring the database instance. Okay, then tags and recommendations, all the stuffs you will be able to see right here for your database instance. Okay, so this is how you will be able to see, or I would say we will be able to create a full configuration Microsoft SQL Server database instance. Okay, cool. This is how we'll be able to create. Now, what you guys have to do it, once you have created the full configuration mode, either you can use it or else you are, if you are not using it, you have to for sure delete the instance if you don't want to get charged on like if you don't want to get charged for not using the instance, I would say, right? So you can just click on this particular instance, you can click on this actions button, and you will be able to see that this database has a deletion protection option enabled, right? To enable delete database, modify the database and disable the deletion protection. So to do that, what you will have to do it, you will have to come to this modify button. Okay, and you will have to scroll all the way down here where the option of this enable delete protection is check. Currently it is enabled, right? So you can disable it and you can click on continue, and then you can click on modify database instance, and then successfully modify the database instance. And now when you will come to this actions tab, your delete option is now enabled. Okay, and you can just click on delete. You have to uncheck create final snapshot, you have to uncheck the retain automated backups, and you have to check this I acknowledge thing, right? I acknowledge that upon instance deletion, automated backups including system snapshot and point in time recovery will no longer be available. And you can just type here as delete me, and that's it. You can click on delete. Okay, and now you can see the status is now in the deletion mode. So make sure, right, that your database instance is being deleted. So again, it will hardly take a few seconds to get it deleted. So now you can see our database instance has been successfully deleted. Okay, so now we can rest assured that we will not be charged for any unnecessary thing, right? For whatever things we did, whatever things we learned, right, we will only be charged for that much period of time. Cool. So this was pretty much it, guys, for this particular video, right? For the full configuration mode, I would say for creating the Microsoft SQL server in our RDS instance. So I hope you guys learned something new in this video. I will see you in the next one. Till then, keep learning and keep growing. Bye bye.